So this is the first in a series, getting started. Setting up your office, getting the business up and running, and getting started. And in this series, we're going to talk about everything from hardware to software to funding to setting up your systems to everything else. Okay, so getting started, and this being the first thing, is part one. How much money do you need to get started? Okay, the first thing is that, you know, this is this entire video series, etc., is starting from nothing, etc., and bootstrapping and not needing finance and so on and so forth. And I've seen 1,000 of them on the internet about how you can make money from nothing and so on and so forth. But I must tell you that most of it's bullshit, because you still need some kind of money. I mean, you can't just, you know what I mean? You still need some kind of money. So whether you've got to beg, borrow, or steal, essentially, how much money do you need to set up your office to start your publishing business? And I must tell you something, this is literally like the acorn, because you will see that it will become a massive oak tree when we are finished with it. So it's literally the acorn, it's literally the setup and so on. So first of all, what you need is an office. Okay, you need an actual physical space with a desk and a chair. I don't know if you have to buy those things. I don't know if you can use your dining room table. I don't know if you can use just the kids' room, or if there's a spare room in your flat that you're renting, or whatever the case may be. But find some space and find a table and a chair, and it's got to have a power supply close by. Okay? Then you need to stock this office with your two most important things. Actually, there are three. There are three things that are vital to have. Without these three things, you can't launch your publishing business. The one is a smartphone, which you should already have, being somebody who's alive on this planet today. The second thing is a computer, and my advice is definitely an Apple Mac. Apple is designed for desktop publishing, etc., and there's nothing better than that. But what I suggest you do is go for an iMac, because it's cheaper but more functional, etc., in setting up your business. And number three is you need a Wi-Fi connection. So those are the three things you desperately need. You need to find a space to set up a table and a chair, and as I say, you can use your dining room table. And you need to have three things: a smartphone, an iMac, or a computer for that matter, and a Wi-Fi connection. Okay. Then the last thing you need is software. So let's just go through these things, how you're going to source them, etc., etc. So as far as the iMac goes, and as far as the smartphone goes, my advice, for example, with an iMac, well, I don't know about currencies in other countries, but in this country, in South Africa, with the South African rand, you can get a second-hand iMac, which is about 5 years old, which is perfect, by the way. You can get an iMac like that from, if you go onto Facebook Marketplace, and you can get that iMac, and it's very cheap. We can get it for about 3,000 or 4,000 rands, which in today's currency exchange is about $30. So that's a nice hit. So that's the iMac. As far as the smartphone goes, once again, go to Facebook, etc. Best to have an iPhone, obviously, because it's compatible with the iMac, and the iPhone obviously also allows you. Listen, guys, publishers and media people, etc., they all use Apple. Apple is the standard that they use, and so because of that, it's become the center of creating and collaborating and creating software and apps and etc., etc. So as much as the PC is great, etc., and if you're a gamer, then the PC is the way to go, and so on. For publishing and for media, the Mac is by far, Apple is by far the sort of standard of choice. In any event, so now what you do is you take your table, your chair, you set up your iMac, and you plug in your smartphone so that you're charging that so that you can start using that to call, and you're rocking and rolling. Okay? Now, the cost of all of these things. So let's just say the iMac costs 3,000 Rand, let's say 4,000 Rand, which is $40, $50. Your smartphone, iPhone costs 2,000, 3,000 Rand. You can get an iPhone 5S or one of the older models. It doesn't really matter. You've probably already got a smartphone, you can just use that. Your desk and your chair, you must get gratis. You must just con it out of someone or borrow it somewhere or something. And as far as your workspace goes, wherever, I mean, you've got to have a space to sleep. You're obviously not sleeping under a bridge somewhere. So wherever your room is that you're sleeping, just create a workspace there. Okay. As far as the Wi-Fi goes, you can use the hotspot on your iPhone, but you're going to have data charges, but they're not massive. But you can use your hotspot on your iPhone, or you can get a fiber installed or something like that. Everybody's got great deals. Like I imagine in the States, AT&T, etc., they've all got great deals for fiber. So get it installed. It's vitally important, etc. Okay, then that brings us to software. And once again, this video is about how much money do I need, and in truth what I'm doing is I'm just putting the ball in your court and I'm saying, hey, go out and price these things. Price how much. If you don't have a smartphone, how much it's going to be. If you don't have a computer, how much an iMac secondhand is going to be. Go on to Facebook Marketplace. If you don't have a table and chair, go on to Facebook Marketplace, or go on to your local classifieds, get a second-hand table and chair. Just make sure you've got cushions for the chair, because it's got to be comfortable, because essentially in the beginnings of this business you're actually going to handcuff yourself to this desk. That's how much work you need to do. So those are the things. And then as far as software goes, the one lucky thing with like an iMac on Facebook Marketplace or something is that sometimes they leave whatever software they were using on there. So you need a sort of a later version of InDesign. So you need Adobe. You know what, if you can get Adobe Creative Suite, whatever, with Photoshop, InDesign, those are the two programs that you desperately need, the two platforms of the two applications is Photoshop and InDesign for magazine publishing. But if you can score a computer with those things already on, especially if it's CS6 or something like that, which is great. I mean, CS6 is perfect. I know it's not the latest version, but it certainly makes it easy for you, etc. So that's the software you need there. And then through your Wi-Fi connection and that, you need to be able to get to Udemy. Go to udemy.com, because you need to teach yourself how to use this software. So you need to go and you need to buy a course on Udemy, which is normally, I mean, in South Africa it's about 150 Rand for a decent course on InDesign, or a decent course on Photoshop. So I imagine in the States that's what, $20 or whatever for a decent course. But you need to train yourself. Remember, this is all about training, upskilling, and getting your act together. So do a costing yourself. You need a smartphone, you need an iMac, you need a table, you need a chair, you need a Wi-Fi connection. Software you need is InDesign and Photoshop. See if you can get that on the iMac that you buy, because usually it's normally used by a creative. You need an email software. If you're not going to use mail from Mac, then download Thunderbird. I've always used that, and it's free, and it's an amazing software to use. And I use Google Chrome as far as my search engine goes, and email addresses and that. Just register a domain. You don't have to populate that domain yet. Just register a domain, mymag.com or whatever domain you're going to whatever magazine you preferably the name of the magazine, and so it's your email address is that domain. Okay, that's your setup. Work out, take out a piece of paper and a pen, work out how much all of that's going to cost you. Beg, borrow, steal, because I'm going to teach you how to bootstrap, and this is essentially the only finance you need besides money to pay your rent and feed yourself.